You will suddenly hear movement above you, like probably on the floor above you, scuffling, and then you'll hear somebody shout something out, and then a scream, and then a thud from above you, and then silence.
Oh,
Anira
not
doesn't
good.
Anira doesn't say anything. She just looks up. She just looks up at the ceiling and she's trembling a little bit.
Oh god. We'll go to Anira and just wait, sit close to him and just put his hand on her shoulder and say, "It's going to be okay. They won't. If they are coming here, they won't see us."
And she looks back at him and she says, "You know, I'm of all the days for you to come here, I'm really glad today was the day."
Yeah, I agree. I don't think
And
what would happen to me if I heard you were attacked and I wasn't. I could have helped.
It'll be at that moment that you realize you're not alone. And one of you, I'm going to say you both will turn to see a figure, a hooded figure, apparate in the room with a very creepy looking mask. And this person has a very long, crooked wand out, and right now is looking around the room. Now, let me specify with Ronick, out of character, this device makes it so that they can't see you, but they can still hear you. Yes?
I assume yes.
Okay. So you were in the middle of your conversation when all of a sudden you hear a pop, because when they apparate, there's a slight pop. And this figure is in this room and is surveying the room. It doesn't seem to see you, but it starts looking around.
Pino would just put his finger in front of his mouth. Just.
I would like for both of you to roll a stealth, please, to stay quiet and not
boy.
accidentally hit something that causes a noise or something.
7.
Okay?
9.
9?
Yes.
Okay. You start to keep quiet, and then I'm gonna say that Anira, because is it safe to say this is your first time actually being in the room with the Death Eater?
I think so, yes.
Okay. So this is probably the feeling that you might get if, again, not to be dark, but this is what's happening, if you were like in college or high school and you find out that somebody brought a gun to school,
Yeah.
and is attempting to do bad things.
Yes.
And now this person is in the room with you and is looking for you in the classroom, and you're hiding. So you're probably like, no, you have to be quiet, but you're probably breathing a little heavily.
Okay.
Breathing a little heavily. And I'm going to say that the Death Eater stops for a moment as if it thinks it heard something, but maybe it's not sure. And then it starts to turn towards your direction. Now, if you and Vienno aren't right next to each other, I'm going to say you're still sort of like just a little bit apart from each other when this happened. And I'm going to say that the Death Eater is going to start to walk towards your direction, not beelining to you, so clearly it doesn't know exactly where you are if it thinks it heard something, but it's going towards your direction. Do you do anything, either of you, as it's moving towards Anira's direction with the wand out?
Does would Anira would Anira have? Do you think Anira could possibly have something like one of her own inventions on her?
Sure, if you think so.
Okay. do you want me to roll something to see if this works, or?
Well, what is it? What is it? The device, I guess, or what do you have that you're thinking?
Okay. So she has on a kind of she has on a belt. It's not. I'll rephrase it. It's not an invention per se. It's like just some chemicals that she has. So she opens, like she very carefully reaches for her belt, and she pulls out a thermos, and she turns to Vienno, and she also gives him a quiet, and she sets the thermos down on the floor. She reaches into another pocket. She pulls out something. It's like a little test tube. It has something white in it, and she opens the test tube and she drops it into the thermos. So what this is actually, the thermos is just plain water, while the thing inside the test tube was dry ice.
Okay.
So as it goes in, it kind of starts boiling over, and she kind of sets it. She kind of tries to put it away from herself, and then moves away back toward Vienno.
Okay. So the thermos will start to emit this mist fog, and I'm gonna say that immediately the Death Eater will notice it. And start to move to investigate this spell that subtly is being cast. So yes, it's going to go over to investigate, and that will give you a chance to at least leave that immediate area. What happens next?
So she looks at Vienno, and there's definite fear in her eyes, but she's kind of looking at him to see, do you have any ideas?
This is bad.
The door is still, like, right now the Death Eater is in a position where if you want to make a break for the door, you may, but you don't have to. It's an option. At this moment, it's looking at the dry ice. If you guys don't say that your character does anything, I'm going to continue explaining what the Death Eater does from there.
I don't think he would do anything right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem anything. There is danger, but he doesn't see it as extreme danger right now.
Okay. The Death Eater seems really puzzled by this thermos that's spewing out this dry ice. I don't think it understands what dry ice is. So it's looking at this, and it seems very cautious, and it's still looking around to see who cast this spell. It's still searching around and looking at the thermos. The Death Eater casts makes a small incantation and casts a spell, and then I think he's gonna cast a reducto spell, and the thermos shatters, and the dry ice just spills out. And again, the Death Eater is still puzzled by what this thing is or is supposed to do, but it doesn't seem afraid. It just is unsure of what's happening and still surveying the room.
Anira she pulls out another test tube, and she, looking at all the water that's now spilled on the floor, she looks toward Vienno, and she holds up the test tube like, should I try this?
I think Vienno would not.
Okay. So she carefully opens it up, and she, if Vienno is listening, she kind of mutters a prayer. She mutters a quick prayer, and she throws the test tube toward him, like toward the Death Eater's feet. When the test tube breaks and comes in contact with the water, the test tube actually has pure sodium in it. And when sodium comes in contact with water, it it explodes.
Okay.
So when it's near his feet, the sodium explodes and it burns.
We're gonna say that it hits the water, and then there's a noticeable explosion. Somehow you've mixed it such that that's what would happen immediately as it gets in contact with water. The Death Eater falls back, and then to its shock, and as it falls back, it hits his head hard against a desk or something. It hits his head really hard against the desk and falls over onto the floor, unmoving. You can tell that it's still breathing, but currently does not seem conscious. You're not really sure for how long, though.
She
No.
utters. She is finally breathing a little bit normally now, and she just mutters, "Allah, Allah."
Should we try to leave? That thing is not going to be unconscious for long.
Well, I don't hear anything outside, and I'd rather be out there right now than in here with him.
Yeah. Let's go. And I guess we go to the door.
All right. You'll go over to the door. Will you guys attempt to unseal the door?
Well, I would try to unseal the door, yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Do you have a spell that might unseal the door, Vienno? Do you know of a spell?
Yeah, I would think would have that spell, yes.
Okay. Go ahead and cast it. Roll whatever you have to roll to cast it.
That's an 16.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. You will be able to cast a spell. Now, Hunter actually cast a relatively powerful seal on this door. So the typical Death Eater would still have some challenge to unseal it. However, Vienno's score rolled very high, and you are able to unlock the seal to the door. So the door is now unlocked, but not open. What do you do?
The Death Eater is still unconscious.
Right now, it seems the person seems unconscious. The Death Eater.
Anira says, "Do you think we should tie him up or something?"
Do you have anything to tie him up with?
And Anira sighs a little bit and she tugs on her hijab.
Could be. Could give it a try.
And she takes off her hijab and she goes and she tries to tie him up with it.
Okay. Roll me 2d6s and add 2, please.
Okay. 9 total.
Okay. All right. So you will use your hijab to tie, I guess, his wrists together so that they can't move. How about the wand that's on the floor? There's a Death Eater wand on the floor.
Okay. She picks it up and she says, "Well, this is useless to me. Do you want to hold on to this, or do you think we should hide it somewhere?"
I can take it with me. I take it.
Okay.
By the way, just a question: do I have the item with me as of now? Do I have it?
Thank you for bringing that up. So I am going to say that when you pick up the wand, you actually notice the runic symbol on the wand, etched on the wand. And something about that symbol seems to be meaningful to you. Something in your gut is telling you there's something meaningful about that specific etching on the wand.
I touch the rune on the wand and try to move it. Maybe testing.
You'll touch the rune on the wand, and your instinctual, as someone who is normally somebody who just picks up a wand and sees that etching wouldn't have this instinct. But as someone like you who's dealt with magical items, you instinctively put your hand around the rune. The rune starts to glow slightly, dimly under your fingertips, and then you begin to slide it, and the rune etching, to Anira's surprise, starts to slide. Etchings normally don't slide off of things.
Right.
And as it's sliding off of the wand, it starts to expand into a ring, it looks like. And the ring, with the rune still on it, detaches completely from the wand itself. And the etching is no longer on that Death Eater wand.
Okay, this is new. Interesting. Seeing that, but did I put it on my own wand?
Okay, so you will see, just to verify things, Anira, you just saw Vienno take something from a Death Eater wand.
Yes.
And now he's going to put the Death Eater wand thing onto his wand.
Okay.
So, and you want to say something before he does it, or not say something yet?
She's still a bit confused as to what just happened, but when she sees him, when she realizes what he intends to do, she says, wait, Vienno, are you sure that's a good idea?
I think so.
What is that thing?
I look at the rune, and can I translate what that rune is?
Go ahead and roll a astronomy or rune knowledge check. If you don't have either, then just roll regular knowledge. You recognize that symbol to represent the zodiac symbol Capricorn. But beyond that, I don't think you'd be able to do, at least not unless you do some further experiments or investigation. You're not going to be able to deduce what it does or what it means beyond Capricorn.
Well, it has a sign for Capricorn on it, and I'm a Capricorn. I don't know this.
Well, if you don't know exactly what it does or what it is, I mean, wouldn't it be a better idea to leave it off for now? We don't know if someone might see you with that symbol and think you're one of these Death Eaters or something.
I guess you're right. I put it on my pocket, then that ring.
You put it in your pocket, and you might try to investigate it later.
Yes.
What do you do next?
Try to look, maybe try to go to the door and look if I still have the Death Eater's wand with me, so I'm not leaving it with that thing.
Yeah, you still have the Death Eater's wand. It just doesn't have the etch anymore.
Yeah.
The etching anymore.
I'm checking if maybe open the door a little and see if I can see anything outside.
Roll an observation check as you open the door slightly.
13.
13?
Yep.
Okay. You don't see anyone, but you can hear movement in the office, but you don't see anyone at the moment. It could just be because the person is moving around in the office, but not in your line of sight.
Okay, there is something moving there.
Anira asks, do you think we should make a break for it, or do you want to stay here?
I don't like staying here.
And she kind of like takes his hand and says, "Come on, quickly then." And she tries to make her way down the hallway. And by the way, she reaches down to her belt and she pulls out another thermos, and she's just holding it in her hand while she's walking.
You'll hold his hand and the thermos, or I'm sorry, and the item.
Yeah.
While you're walking.
It's a thermos.
And
yeah.
You can hear again movement. You'll turn the corner. Maybe you'll peek around the corner, and you will see Hunter Lionheart. Still has his wand out. He has his back turned to you currently, but he seems to be like looking around, surveying the area.
I think she would watch him. She would watch him quietly, just in case he's looking for someone else who might be in the area.
Okay. You'll watch him carefully, and then he'll turn around, and as soon as he sees you, he looks slightly surprised, and he says, "Anira, I thought I sealed you in the room. What are you doing out?
Mr.
You shouldn't be out here. It's not safe."
Mr. Lionheart, one of those Death Eaters managed to get into the room.
As soon as you say that, he immediately beelines past you towards the room.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to follow him, you can. And he looks into the room and he sees the Death Eater. And then he sort of just nods. He shuts the door and then he casts another sealing spell on the door. Are you hurt?
No, sir. Just a little shaken.
He looks towards Vienno and he says, "And you, sir?"
I'm fine, thank you.
"We need to get you someplace safe. There's Death Eaters all over the Ministry." He says, "I suppose it's better for you to hear this from me than from anyone else, but the Minister of Magic is missing."
That's not good.
No, it's not good.
So it really is his army attacking right now?
Yes. The Ministry currently is being compromised as we speak.
Where should we go?
He thinks for a moment, and he says, "Follow me." And you guys will sneak around. He'll open the door in the patent office. He sees that the coast is clear, and he'll like wave you guys over. You guys will make your way past the office. I'm gonna say that he will lead you to another department on this floor. We'll say this actually is a thing. The official Gobstones Club. Gobstones is actually a game that a lot of young wizards and witches play.
Mm-hmm.
But that might be a place that he feels would be totally random, that Death Eaters might not necessarily go to. Because even if they did, not particularly important wizards and witches are in the Gobstones Club, would be in the Gobstones Club. There would be in like higher level offices.
Mm-hmm.
So we will open the door, and I'm going to say that there's going to be like a few shelves of gobstones. It's sort of like marbles.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it's like marbles. If you've ever played the phone app Hogwarts Mystery, they actually play gobstones in that game. So
yeah.
Anyway, he'll take you in there, and again, he'll seal the door and just sort of like wait and say, "I think you all can relax for right now." And he's just going to stay by the door.
Well, I hope round 2 is a little bit better than round 1.
Okay.
She gives kind of an uneasy smile.
Did anybody else besides myself and Friedrich Longbottom know that you were in there, in the other room? He asks.
Well, the other other heads of the department were in there also, but besides that, and she's trying to think, and she's thinking, and then she says, "Oh wait, yes, we ran into Augustus Mermont, and I mentioned to him that we were Vienno was going to make a presentation."
All right, you both should still be safe in here with me.
Now that they have a moment to relax, Anira's a little bit embarrassed because her hair's uncovered, and technically it's not supposed to be uncovered.
Let's try that again. Vienna takes out another one of his items and activates it in this form.
While you're about to take up your device, Hunter is going to look at you very curiously as you're about to activate it, and he will actually ask, "What is that? What are you doing?"
Making us invisible to the Death Eaters.
Your device can do that?
Anyone in this room would be invisible. They could hear you, but we are completely invisible to them.
I see.
It's true, sir. I saw it in action.
Is it safe?
Well, it worked on that Death Eater. So, yes.
Roll an observation, please, the two of you. Anira, go ahead and roll a 2d6 and add 4.
Okay, total is 11.
13 again.
You're gonna start setting up your magic item to activate that invisibility charm in the room. And Anira, you're gonna be like watching him.
Mm-hmm.
The two of you, at the corner of your eye, it happens very fast, but with your high rolls, at the corner of your eye, you see Hunter, and he has his wand out, and then he very swiftly raises his wand, aims it towards Anira, and shouts, "Avada Kedavra!" You have a split second to react.
Oh god.
Oh god.
I think she understands what that spell means. Like, even as a squib, she understands what it means.
Yes.
Would she be able to dive out of the way?
You would have to roll with me in acrobatics.
Oh dear.
2d6. I'm going to say plus. Now you noticed he was going to do it just at the split second. So you're going to roll a 2d6. I'm going to say add a d4. A 2d6, and that'll represent your dodge bonus.
Okay.
Vienno, you can also do something in this split second as well.
Disarming spell. I try to disarm him.
All right. Well, okay. Let's start with your dodge.
Okay. Her dodge total is 7.
Okay. All right. Vienno.
Oh god, no.
Please
roll,
make it a good one.
roll your disarm spell.
No, this is not good. 10.
10?
10.
Okay. You will, so, as soon as you hear the words Avada Kedavra, there is a green flash as this very jagged stream of energy jets out of the tip of Hunter Lionheart's wand, and it goes hurtling towards Nira's unprotected head. She, in a very split moment, like her reflexes kick into gear, and she tries to dodge out of the way, and Vienno will at the same time whip out his wand and shoot the disarming spell. The disarming spell flies through the air. It strikes the wand just enough so that the wand tilts over to the left slightly as Hunter casts a spell, just to graze. You can actually feel the feeling of death graze past your hair. About 2 inches of strands of hair splits from the stream of energy and starts to fall towards the ground right as you dodge past it. And Hunter, so the disarm spell is enough to move the wand towards the left, but not enough to completely disarm, as in he still has the wand in his hand. Roll another observation. I'm gonna say Vienno, because for right now, Anira is probably too distracted to observe anything else other than...
She's a bit distracted, yes.
Oh no. These are not good. 9.
You got a 9?
Nope, 13.
13?
Yes.
13.
Okay, Vienno, you notice a very, it's subtle, but for you, you notice a sort of a glaze in Hunter's eyes, as if to suggest he is under the influence of the Imperious Curse. What do you do? He still has his wand out, and it looks like he's about to aim his wand towards your direction. But at that moment, you catch a sight of his eyes, and you have a feeling that he's not himself right now.
I now wonder what to do. So many things. I'm not ready for this kind of situation.
Okay. Anira still has her thermos. She could try something.
I think Vienno would activate the item. This
Okay.
item to make this place invisible. People here invisible to the Death Eaters.
Okay, I'm gonna say that you'll start to activate it, but I will say you're not sure if it would work on somebody who's not technically a Death Eater, but is under the Imperious Curse. I'm gonna say you're not sure if that would work.
Yeah, I know. I'm not just so many spells and so.
All right, so you're gonna activate. So you're gonna try to activate the magic item to make the room invisible.
Mm-hmm.
Anira, you don't know that he's under Imperious Curse at the moment. So what do you do next? What do you personally do next?
She, of course, she just almost died. So of course she's in survival mode right now. So she takes the thermos that she had in her hand, she opens it and she throws it. She throws the contents of it toward his wand hand.
Okay.
And the contents of that thermos was actually liquid nitrogen.
Okay. All right.
So might hurt him a little.
Yeah, you will take the thermos and you're actually going to throw it towards his hand. I am going to ask you to roll ranged attack to see if you manage to hit. This is targeted, so to strike a specific body part like a hand is going to have a higher target number. So roll me 2d6s and I'll add another d4 to represent your bonus. 2d6s and a d4.
Okay, so the 2d6 was a 9, and the d4 was a 1, so 10 total.
Okay. You will take your thermos and you're going to try to toss it so that the nitrogen will aim specifically for his wand, his hand wand. He will start to raise his wand again, but the nitrogen just misses his hand, just misses, as he starts to incant the words towards Vienno. He's aiming at Vienno right now, and he starts to say, Evada. And as he's saying it, there is another pop in the room, and you will see off to the corner of your eye, you will see Augustus Mermont pop into the room and hear him shout, Petrificus Totalis! And as soon as he casts a spell, Hunter immediately stands up straight, similar to how Neville Longbottom did in the movie. Yes. And then he falls over. His wand clatters to the ground. And as soon as that happens, Augustus Mermont goes over to you, and he says, Anira, you hurt? He actually says Anira. Anira, you hurt?
She's still somewhat panicking. She's still in survival mode. So when he comes over, she actually backs away against the wall and says, stay away from me.
He backs up a little bit and he holds up his hands.
Thank God. Oh.
He takes his wand and he aims it towards Hunter. And he says, I didn't think Hunter would be a Death Eater.
He's not. He's under control of one.
The Imperious?
Yes.
So, Hunter was not as strong-willed as many of his colleagues think he is.
She's still shaking a bit, but she slowly stands up and she says, He wasn't trying to kill me.
No, he was under their control.
And she kind of takes a handful of her hair, the where it kind of burned off a little bit, and she's playing with it, and she says, Mr. Marmot, you came just in time.
He nods. Yes, I'm glad that I did. He says, things up there in the upper floors of the Ministry are, we'll just say it's not pleasant.
Well, things have been relatively quiet around here, thankfully.
You will once again see the Patronus, the Lynx Patronus, pass through the room. And he will say, the Minister of Magic is dead. The Ministry has been compromised.
That's not good. Not good at all.
She's just in shock right now. She's not saying anything. She's not even praying. She's just in shock.
We need to get out of here now.
Agreed.
Can you apparate? He says, looking at Vienno.
Yes.
He then turns to Anira. He knows the answer to that question, if he were to ask you that. We're not that far from... I'm going to assume that in emergencies, they have a staircase. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So he says, we're not that far from the staircase. If we go now, we might just make it to the flu network.
Nira turns to Vienno and there's a lot of fear in her eyes, and she just says, "Are you going? Like, are you apparating?" Is what she means.
I'm not leaving you here alone.
And there's noticeable relief when you say that, and she says, "Come on, we have to go."
Yeah.
Augustus will look down at Hunter and he says, as much as I'd love to bring him with us, he's only going to slow us down at this point, and I don't think we can completely trust him, Imperious curse or no.
Agreed.
With that, Augustus will again open the door slightly from the office. He will look around, and he will lead you all towards the staircase. You guys both roll a stealth roll, 2d6s, plus a d4 for Anira.
Okay, 14 total.
Well, you're much better than me. I got a 4.
Oh
Okay.
dear.
I have a negative
right.
in my stealth.
You will, again, make your way down the stairwell. Vienno is not super subtle, so I am going to say that at some point in the stairwell, another Death Eater will apparate in front of you. Fortunately, Augustus will be ready and will immediately be able to cast another Petrificus Totalis on them, and be able to make them scoot past them. You will reach the atrium eventually, where it sounds like there is a bit of a battle going on, as several of the members of the Ministry of Magic seem to be fighting more figures in masks. You and Augustus will again try to sneak your way as quickly as you can to the flu network. At some point, Anira and Vienno almost trip over something, and they realize it's the body of the gentleman that had asked you for coffee earlier. Anira, he has his eyes wide open, and he looks stone cold dead. And Augustus will say, Keep moving. Keep moving. Don't look at anywhere except for that fireplace. Just keep moving. More spells are being cast. As you can see, several people also trying to escape through the Flu network. There's this one lady who seems to be very confused. She seems she's speaking Spanish, and you can presume she's probably like visiting, and she's trying to make her way over to the Flu network. But then you hear an Avada Kedavra strike her just as she reaches it, and then she falls over dead. And that is one of the last things that you witness right at the point where Augustus reaches the Flu network, and he's like waving the two of you to go in first, and you guys will go in. And as soon as Anira and Vienno safely go into the network, you will once again emerge into the toilet. Augustus does not appear and does not follow you. He did not seem to follow you back.
She just like leans against the door. She leans against the door of the stall, and she's holding her head. She's holding her head, and she says, Allah, how could this happen?
I have no idea. This is not good. Not good at all. We should go.
She nods, and she kind of grabs his hand again, and she leads him out, like intending to make her way basically to her wherever she's living, just to have a safe place to stay for a while.
Later that evening, news in the Wizarding World newspapers will definitely be flooding with the events that happened at the Ministry of Magic. On this August 1st, 1997, Rufus Scrimgeour was captured, tortured, and murdered by he who shall not be named. There is still questions of what's going to happen to the ministry from this point forward, but it doesn't look good. They start to release names of the people that have passed away during this attack, but it's not a complete list yet. And just in general, the entire wizarding world is struck, dumbfounded by this tragedy. This place that everyone thought would be well protected from Voldemort and the Death Eaters has now been compromised and taken under control. And I guess right now Vienno is staying over at Anira's apartment, home, house.
Apartment, I think.
All right.
She comes in. She brings him in. She's like trying to settle down a little, and she says, "Well, I wish you could have visited under better circumstances, but welcome. This is home." And she's trying to put on a brave face again.
Thank you. This was maybe my worst day ever.
I think that's an understatement. And she goes to her closet, and she quickly pulls out another hijab, and she's putting it on again.
Vienno takes out the lamp he created and activates it, just to be sure.
That's a good idea. Do you think your parents? Well, maybe they wouldn't know about the Ministry of Magic.
Yeah, I hope so. I think they will be fine.
Okay. You want to call them just in case? I do have a telephone.
What will I say to them? They don't know what happened here. They wouldn't know anything about this, and what do I say to them?
Well, I guess to start, you could just say, "Hello. How are you? My trip to England is going great." I don't know. she's just kind of nervously laughing, saying, "Yeah, this is a twisted situation, but I just wish I could. I wish I could just call my parents, but they don't have a phone."
I'm sure they will be fine. Don't worry.
And she just adjusts her hijab, and she says, "We're alive. We made it."
Yes, we are alive. Let's hope things will get better.
And she says, if nothing else, I'm really glad we made it out together."
Agreed.
Anira, I'm gonna say that you're living in the Muggle world. So I'm gonna say that you do own a cell phone. You're a squib, so you probably would make sense to have a cell phone anyway.
Yes.
Your phone is gonna start ringing, and if you look at it, it's your sister, Naila.
She immediately opens it up, and she says, "Naila?"
Oh, thank Allah, you picked up. Are you okay? As soon as I saw the newspapers about what happened at the ministry, I was scared stiff.
"Yes, I'm," and then it suddenly hits her just how close she came to dying, and she just bursts into tears and starts sobbing on the phone.
Oh my god. Oh.
Vienno would come next to her and just put his hand on his shoulder and just...
We're normally not allowed to use things like cell phones in school, but because of the events, they told everyone who had them that they could make an exception to contact their families. What happened? What's going on? Is it true that he who must be named is in control of the ministry?
And she manages to catch her breath a little, and she says, Yes, it's true, Naila."
What are you gonna do? Obviously you're not going back to work there again.
I can't, Naila. I was almost killed.
Did you see one of the Death Eaters?
Yes. He was in the same room as me, and there was another one who I respected, but he was under the control of another Death Eater, and he almost killed me.
Oh, that's awful. Who was it? I guess it doesn't really matter, but...
Well, it was someone from the law department. He always treated me with respect, even knowing what I am.
I hate this. Ever since you know who came back again, you just don't know who to trust anymore.
Yes. But don't worry, I'm with a friend. It's someone I can trust. We're staying safe right now.
Just lay low. I mean, considering... She pauses for a moment because you can tell she's about to say considering you're not magical, but she stops because she knows that that's probably something that would not be appropriate for you. So she pauses and says, just try to blend in and don't draw attention to yourself, and you should be fine.
She gives kind of a bitter chuckle, and she says, "Well, I'm currently missing a sizable chunk of my hair. I guess my first step would be to get a haircut."
I guess you can explain that to me later. Yes, just from what I've been told, just trying to go about your business like a normal muggle is probably the best thing to do.
I agree, and I'll try to act normal, but Naila, I can't even tell you. I can't even tell you how horrible it was.
Yeah, I'm sure it must be terrifying. I can't even imagine what it must have been like being in that building when that was happening. I don't think I would have. I don't know if I would have stayed sane during the whole thing myself.
I came pretty close to snapping, I admit it, but I'm safe now. I'm safe now. I can't tell Mom and Dad. I'm okay.
You don't want. Okay. I'll let them know.
Stay safe at school, okay?
Okay. If anything else happens, just send me an owl.
Of course, of course.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad to hear that you're safe, and I'll talk to you soon then.
Okay, I love you.
I love you too, sis.
Stay safe.
You too. And she'll hang up.
All right.
And I think we'll end the scene there.
Okay.
Cool.
I was not prepared for this.
I was like, as soon as the Avada Kedavra came close, I was like, well, it's been nice playing her for 1 hour.
Yes.
I'm not letting her die. No way.
What do you guys think of what happened today?
Well,
Nice
I'm glad we're
beginning for
both
it.
still.
Yeah, glad we're alive.
Yes.
It was a nice day.
Did you expect the tone of this session to shift the way it did in the middle?
I don't think so. Like I thought, like I knew I was expecting a pretty big tonal shift, but I wasn't expecting it to go that far, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had some idea that something was going to happen, but not this.
Hmm.
This is going to change how my character acts from now. I have to most definitely this affected.
I think that the circumstances of how you found the Capricorn ring is very interesting because I didn't pre-plan that really. I knew at some point you would get it during this session, but the way that it worked out, I thought was perfect.
Oh yeah, because just to tell Roma, I was planning on if I could turn as invisible if I had that ring.
Really?
Yeah, that can
Yeah.
turn me invisible.
But I think
Okay.
it's realistic to say that you examined it more later and then determined the invisibility thing later. We didn't necessarily have to roleplay that, but I think how Anira behaved in that moment made perfect sense. We're like, are you sure you want to put that on your wand right now?
Like that's a Death Eater thing.
Vienno might have been just too intrigued by that thing, because
Yeah.
his sign was a Capricorn, and that was a ring of Capricorn. He was
Yeah.
maybe too interested in that ring. His focus was elsewhere.
I think it's an interesting flaw for your character that you might be a little bit too overzealous about new shiny magical things that it might cause bad things to happen if you're not careful.
Yes.
Yeah, that was seen in the previous session as well. When
Yeah.
I was a room full of magical items, I was like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so originally the only thing that I had planned before we met was just everything before up to the point where stuff happened at the ministry, the attack happened. I was originally just going to end it right after the presentation happens and everybody's calling your inventions like an abomination and mud magic. But then I thought, maybe I can add a little bit more to this historically. So when you have the opportunity to go back in time and do a flashback, and especially because you're in the Ministry of Magic, I was thinking, was there like a big event that happened at the Ministry that was never fully explored in the books, but was just mentioned? And then I remembered, oh, that's right, August 1st, 1997. That's when the Ministry fell and Scrimger was assassinated, basically. I'm like, that would be perfect if I was able to drop these two characters there so we can actually see what that was like in their eyes. And if this hits really close to home to some people and triggers them, I apologize. But again, there's been unfortunately so many incidents of violence, especially like in schools and such.
Yep.
And this sort of like reminded me from that. And I thought that this is something that people who are watching, even though it's an extremely uncomfortable and dark subject, people understand it almost immediately of what that's like. So
I have another character who might need therapy.
yes. Yeah,
I don't. I
go
think
ahead.
Vienna would try to this situation would be making him focus on his work much more, and make him actually travel more and trying to help as many people as he can.
Yeah.
Yep. And Anira has learned that she needs to work on her aim, so I think she's gonna be working on that also.
I'm really glad that Anira got a chance to shine a bit. We got to see some of the stuff that she can do in these situations. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, but part of me was that when I see her action, I actually wanted her to do more. I let Roma had her stand with his stuff.
I appreciate it that you did that. That's again very good. That is the trait of a very good role player, tabletop gamer, to let other people shine.
For me, it sometimes goes more that I let everyone do what they want and not put myself out there much more. It's just I usually let the others do their stuff more.
I went into this knowing that Anira getting killed was a possibility. I obviously didn't want that to happen.
Of course.
But because I knew that this was a one shot for Roma, it's possible for Anira to die here, and Roma doesn't feel like, oh man, I could have played. But I am glad that she's still alive. But had you died, it would have been really interesting character building, not only for Vienno, but also for Naila's character, because Naila is going to be a major character NPC in the campaign, and it would be interesting to see how the death of her sister, how that would affect her.
Yeah.
But I think that this event still can affect her, and I can find many opportunities to sort of drop this event through the eyes of your sister at some point in the campaign, which I think will be really interesting.
Yeah.
By the way, Vienno would leave that lamp for Anira. He would leave that lamp for her to keep.
Yeah.
Oh.
Nice.
She appreciates that a lot. And I think I like to think that their bond is much stronger now. I mean, they came out, they survived, so.
Most definitely. More reason for him to not him let her get involved with his doing his job right now.
Yeah.
More reason for her just keep her away from getting mixed up in his things.
Yeah.
Also, Ronik, this is completely up to you, but I think it would be really interesting if Vienno kept the Death Eater wand.
Oh yeah, he would have kept that.
Yeah, probably as a reminder of, again, it's a scary event in your life, but it is a major event in your life. So I would I would suggest to you at some point maybe you would take out the Death Eater wand, because maybe something happens during one of your sessions, or one of the people that you end up the agents doing during their field work, that causes you to contemplate about things, and maybe by taking this reminder out and just holding on to it, it'd be neat to see it again, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I think it will happen it might happen even in the next session because of what happened there. A person
Mhm.
getting poisoned and almost dying.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and I think that'll be cool. It'll be
definitely,
cool.
yeah. It
Yeah,
there's highly it's highly possible that that will come up in there.
yeah.
Yeah. Let me know if you want. Let me know if you have questions about what Anira might have done in the, following that. Like if you need
Hmm.
something for Naila to talk about,
Yeah,
like definitely
sweet.
let me know.
Anything else before we close this vlog?
It was fun.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, scary but fun.
Scary but
yes.
fun, definitely.
Awesome. Well, Roma, thank you so much for being our guest character. I really loved Anira.
Mm,
It's really neat to finally be able to meet the other side of Naila.
mm.
Um, and hopefully we'll see you again in the future on my channel for something. So,
Sure thing.
all right.